Good evening. My name is Richard, and on YouTube, I go by Resilient Rich because it takes true resilience to stay on the narrow path that leads to eternal life. I want to share scripture as usual before I start. Proverbs 1, verse 31. They shall eat the fruit of their own way and shall be filled with their own devices. What does that mean? It means the fruits we produce and the seeds we plant are going to bear fruit. Good and evil. And no matter what we think we're getting away with, the good and bad things we do are going to come back and repay us. You know, you're probably the type of person, if you're not an enemy watching this, which is rare, but you're probably the type of person that kids are drawn to. Like especially super young kids. Extremely drawn to you. Like you could walk in and a kid that's not even yours, like a restaurant or something, will come towards you or start smiling at you. Or you're also probably the type of person that dogs like, animals like. You've also are probably the type of person that's been used as a scapegoat a lot in your life. Used as an excuse for the negativity or the negative ways other people's lives are going. You've taken a lot of blame. Probably can sense people's emotions just by being around them. You know, people who do evil and think they're doing right, you know what the definition of that is? Possession. The demon is convincing them that what they're doing is right, when in reality, it's wrong. That goes for things like gang stalking. You know, we're doing it to humble them, or we're doing it for a righteous cause, to monitor the community or to better the community, whatever their reason is to do it. Really, is that the case? You know how many mass shootings you guys have caused? You know how many suicides you guys have caused? It's the demons in their head that convince them that the evil that they are doing is right. And people don't like you because your truth, your honesty, and your genuine personality offends them. They get offended at the fact you don't have to be on a pedestal and cherished by other people. So then, they can't come against you alone. They're too weak for that. So they group up with a ton of people. Why do you think they have to group up with a ton of people just to come after you? It's because you're divine. Whether you know it yet or not. It's because you're divine and you're protected by the Lord. You walk in the shadow of the Lord, even if you don't realize it yet. But I hope you do soon, so then you can strengthen that. Because we are in a time to where spiritual awareness is truly important. You're going to deal with disrespect everywhere you go, with glares. You're going to have a hard time at work once you finally find work. You're going to deal with witchcraft attacks. I'll give you an example of that. I'm at loadout just now, and these guys are so miserable, man. Like, all of them. It's not just the one from the other night. It's all of them. Like, they can't just get over themselves, I guess. I don't know. But I'm sitting there loading, and I'm not kidding, dude. A flock of like probably 12 big black birds flew directly over me. What do you think that is? It's monitoring spirits, man. It's a form of witchcraft. And if you're chosen by God, or you have holy knowledge, even spiritual knowledge, whether it's wicked or good, you'll know what I mean. And if not, you're going to call me crazy. I'm telling you, man, witchcraft has been around since the beginning of time. And it's not like people used to hunt down witches and slaughter them just to do it. And then all of a sudden it just went away. No. The Wicca religion is the fastest growing religion right now. In the country, at least. That is the beginning stages of witchcraft. So these black, and I've been talking about birds since I started this, basically. And I'm not complaining, I'm grateful for the awareness. I'm just talking about things that'll happen to certain types of people. So after these birds fly over, I finish loading and I go. It's not windy, it's not very cold. I go to get my ticket. Sure enough, the window's locked. So I'm like, all right, man. And I go and sit in my truck. And instead of being like, having respect for their job and having a work ethic and motivation to be a decent employee and worker, and just instead of having integrity and treating all the customers the same, dude, they took their sweet time getting this ticket, let it print, rolled it up, sat there and talked for a minute, and then decided it was okay for me to come to the window and get it. You're going to walk throughout life, and there's going to come a time where you can't go anywhere without feeling like everyone is against you. And the absolute worst thing you could do about this is go to a counselor and talk to him about it. Unless you get lucky and find a counselor that's truly a counselor for the right reason, who has true, holy, righteous knowledge and wisdom, if you're lucky enough. But most counselors are counselors for evil reasons, whether you believe it or not. A lot of counselors do it strictly to mess with people, whether you believe it or not, man. Like, I'm not being judgmental, but if you look at counselors, a lot of them are kind of different. And like a weird way. Because if you go to the counselor, you know, you start talking to someone about it and they're like, man, you're losing your mind. You need to go counseling. And then you go to counseling, they're going to put the phrase that originated from a guy claiming to be gang stalked called paranoia schizophrenia on you. And then that phrase alone, that diagnosis from this doctor, ruins your credibility. And you think it's a hard time for people to believe you at the beginning. Yeah, wait till that happens. The only way to get through the persecution and the hate and the immaturity that you will deal with on a daily basis, if you're not yet, is to go to God and seek His counsel and seek His empathy and seek His compassion. And as you do that, you will be amazed at the knowledge He gives you. And you will truly be amazed at the strength inside of you that He opens up and allows you to have. And the confidence and security you will walk in. You've probably felt like an outcast your whole life if you're this type of person. You've been able to, what's the word for it, adapt to your environment, even maybe being decently popular in school, just because you went against everything inside of you and were completely fake being a people pleaser, but that internal feeling, you still felt like an outcast. You graduate school, you go get a job, it's the same, you feel, but worse. You feel like the outcast. You're like, man, why do I feel like this? The older you get, the worse it gets. And then if you have a relationship with God, and time, maturity, and when He knows that you're ready for it, He will reveal to you knowledge and why things have been like this your whole life. It's been preparing you for the battle of glorifying His name your whole life. And these bad things that happen to people like us, we look at them at times, a lot of times, myself included, as like bad things. As things like, why is this happening to me? And then in time, as we go through it, we realize it was a blessing from the Lord the whole time. It was Him pruning and molding us into the men and women that we need to be to glorify Him in the way that we are individually going to do that with the talents and gifts that we have. He's going to show us those talents and gifts, our spiritual gifts, as we ask Him. As we ask Him for discernment, even if we already had discernment, He's going to strengthen that discernment to where you can literally not even talk to somebody and just see them and know what side they're on. A lot of it is in their eyes. They can trick you with that though too. And the importance of discernment, man. Walking through this life without discernment is literally like walking around blind. And the funny thing is, you would be amazed. This actually hasn't happened, probably like a month. But for like 2 months, man, I would see blind people walking with like the blind stick every day, and different people. You think they were really blind? that many people in the least populated state in this country blind, walking in public alone with the blind stick here in Wyoming, that like every day for like at least 2 months. They switch up on you, man. Like they switch their tactics up. What do you think they were trying to tell me? They were trying to manipulate me that my discernment was off and that I'm walking in blindness. Because people can sense you. They'll tell their stories like Billy Tough Guy stories or whatever stories that make them feel better about themselves when you first meet them. And then you'll realize they kind of fall back. Kind of put some distance in between you. And that's because they get that feeling that you know that they're full of it. Discernment is what keeps us aware. It's what teaches us how to battle. If you don't believe me and you think I'm crazy and you're one-on-ones in my comments just talking crap saying I'm on drugs or I'm crazy or I lost it or whatever, man, look at the world, dude. Look all around. Look how different it is. And I feel sorry for you for being blind, for having eyes that can't see and ears that can't hear. Just because you can look and see out the window and you can read and see words and you can physically see, you're blind, man. Just because you can hear a conversation, you're deaf. I would work on changing that. There's 2 ways, man, you can change that. And one of them will lead you to the pits of hell and misery in the worst form, man. There's degrees in hell just like there's degrees in heaven, dude. And the people who deceive, witchcraft is deceiving. That's what it's doing. It's manipulation. But people who intentionally do it, who intentionally seek out these powers on that side, their punishment is a lot worse than most. And it's for eternity. So you can do that and have to live a life being bullied by the demons you've invited into your life, having to make sacrifices, having to fulfill your contract, a literal contract that can be broken and then your soul taken at any time. Or you can go to the Lord and be in covenant, not contract, accept his covenant through declaring Jesus Christ as Lord, and he paid for the sins, suffering, and pain of this world and rose on the 3rd day and conquered death. Starting out. And then seek to know him. Develop that intimate, personal relationship with him. You can go that route. And that route is the route that you'll have these spiritual gifts that are nothing to boast about, something to be grateful for. But you'll still have the peace inside. It comes with challenges. And those challenges that it comes with, you will learn in the Bible. As you are developing your relationship with him. So then when these challenges come up, you know exactly what it is. No one can convince you otherwise. No one can deceive you. Because you have the love of God and his protection and not allowing you to be deceived. That can also be taken away the moment we step away from him. That doesn't mean when we stumble, we mess up, or we fall. I mean when we literally give up and go back to our old ways. Or worse. You know, the other way, it brings pain. It brings suffering. And the higher you get up there, the more of a sacrifice you have to make. Just like Kanye West admitted, he had to sacrifice his own mother. The world we live in is demonic. And Satan is the ruler of this world. So just because you are in this world, it doesn't mean you have to be of this world. That is so easy, man. That takes no effort. Not being of the world takes strength. And it's difficult. But I'm going to tell you this, man. A person who is not of this world, due to the relationship they have with Jesus Christ, on the outside, it may seem like they're miserable because if they have any friends, it's very few. They are alone a lot. They may not have a lot of physical possessions. So on the outside, they look like they're probably not that happy. Until you look at them and you see the light shining off. And then the people of the world, well, you look at them and you see the light shining off. And these people may have very little, may be alone a lot, may have very little friends, sometimes even no friends. But that person will have way more peace, way more love, joy, compassion inside of them, and be able to look in the mirror and really enjoy who they're becoming. Toward the other side, might have a nice truck, a nice home, a gorgeous spouse, a handsome spouse, kids, all the things you could want in life, the physical things. But inside being empty and dark. And that's why people who are doing so much better financially and with physical possessions will come after people who have hardly anything. Because even though they have all that material, all the materialistic things, they're still empty inside. So they gotta go distract themselves. And the fact of looking at someone who has hardly anything but can still be peaceful and happy, they're not okay with that. That's not okay with them. They want to take it from you. And they're not going to do it alone. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. They don't have it inside of them. Alone, you see one of these guys walking down the street in the middle of the night and you go talk to him. Oh, he's going to be extra nice and polite. But in a group, they think they're invincible. But like I said, they're going to eat of their own fruit and be filled of their own devices. A lot of them don't. They don't know. They don't believe that, man. They think that they're untouchable. They're mistaken. You need to consider it an honor and a blessing if things are like that. If your life is like that. Because it means there's something special about you, man. I said that the other night, but it's true. And a big sign, I'm telling you, is kids and animals. This is not to boast. I just want to give you an example. Kids have always loved me, man, and I've always loved kids. And so have dogs. But something that testified to me the truth in that was right before all this started, man, this gang stalking and stuff. I go to my ex's friend's house and I walk in the door. She has this big white dog. It looks like one of those sheepdogs, you know? I walk in, he comes up to me, wags his tail. He wasn't like extra friendly, but he wasn't aggressive. And her friend tells my ex's friend tells her, oh my gosh, he's never done that before. She's like, this is crazy. Any other man that would come into the house, he would be going nuts. You know, so if things like that happen to you, it's because God, wow. It's because dogs can see what's inside of you, man. They can sense what's inside of you. And my last dog, dude, I loved him so much, man. He was so perfect. He was loyal. He would stay right by me. He was cautious and smart when it came to people. My dog now, man, like he's frustrating me, dude. And I don't know what to do about it. If anyone has any advice, I'd like to know. I don't like dogs that just run up to anyone. You know what I mean? So I don't know if something's been done to him or what. Because like there was a time, not like, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, one of these guys from Haiti that I've mentioned came up to me, and my dog got so excited and like jumping on him, like out of like playful, not being aggressive, that he got an erection. Whatever that's about, I'm not sure. But I don't think it's good. I didn't feel like it was good. And then right after, like a couple hours after this, as I'm sitting in the yard waiting to get my trailer tire replaced. We're out playing in the yard, this same guy comes out. My dog runs up to him, and he don't listen to me. He listens to me perfect when no one's around, but when these guys are around, he don't listen, man. He just runs to them. Well, he comes around, and what do you know, man? My dog runs right to him. And he says, sorry, man, I was eating some chicken. He probably smells the chicken. And I was like, yeah. You know, I didn't say anything. I was just like, yeah, like that. And in my head, I knew he was lying. I knew what it was. So, that being said, like dogs like mine are different. They're, I don't know, man. I've never seen a dog like that. Usually dogs won't go to people like that with evil intent. And I know that these guys were different because they would always make it a point to come and try and talk to me, man. And I didn't know them from Adam, and it drove me nuts. It drove me nuts, dude. Like, I would try not to be rude, but there was one time this dude came and asked me for water, and if I would have had it, I would have given it to him. But I literally only had a gallon jug with a little bit left. Things like that, man. Like, you just came from town, from loadout, and you're gonna come knock on my window just to get my attention and ask me for water? No, dude, it's because of your witchcraft and your warlock behavior. And like I said, I'm one man, I love dogs, but animals are not children. You know, people who say that their animals are their kid, they love I had a buddy tell me one time, dude, I love my dog just as much as you love your kid. Which, whatever, maybe that's true, but I don't see how, because your kid came from you. That bond is like from heaven. You know what I mean? Like, maybe it's true, I don't know, but like if I sense a dog is something that I don't want to be around, I will get rid of it. Quick. Because my peace and my joy is way more important than feeling bad about getting a dog that most likely is being used by a monitoring spirit or something like that. Look that up. Be careful about that, man. Like I said, I like my dog. We're doing okay. But he's the only dog I've ever seen do that, man. Ever. Because I can sense these people. Like Coy, my last dog, oh, he would have went nuts, man. He would have stood right by me. All the hair on his back would stand up. And he would have been like in protective mode. You know? This one just goes right to him. To anyone. And I don't like it because, like, You know, a lot of times I'm a truck driver, so he's in the truck a lot, so I let him out when I can. You know, and when I let him out, like anytime I go to the gas station, I'll walk him to the gas station. And when I do, you know, I have to put him on his leash and put him outside. And he's just too friendly with anyone. It don't matter who they are. Like, you don't have discernment. It's like he's nice and excited to see anyone, good or bad. There hasn't been one person that he's been standoffish towards. And that being said, like, he'll take like treats and stuff from anybody. Like, I came out and there was this lady giving him treats one time. I'm like, well, who would give a treat to a dog without asking the owner? How do you know that dog's not allergic to something? I didn't say that, but I told my dog, like, in front of her, I said, dude, don't take treats from people you don't know. You know, just try and give her the hint. But Coy, dude, he was the exact opposite. He wouldn't just take a treat from anyone. He would smell you out. See, you know, get the feeling of your aura, what was inside of you. And then still be kind of standoffish until he got to know you. I love that about him, dude. And we just bonded, man. And it's like this one, dude, like, I spent so much money on, which I regret spending money on him. And Coy was like $150. Then it wasn't, and this one I was looking for. Coy, he was completely unplanned, man. He was, my son came home begging for a dog. And I had the idea, in my head it was, because me and my ex have only been back together for a minute. And in my head I was thinking, well, if she leaves again and takes the kids, you know, at least I would have something. So I convinced my ex, I said, can we just go look at it? Because I knew if she saw one, like, she would let us get one. Allow us to get one. So, sure enough, she picked him out. And yeah, man, we had a bond, but I kind of got sidetracked. But yeah, dude, most dogs are aware and can sense things like that. And children, their innocence, man, can relate with the spirit inside of you. If you're the type of person that notices this. Dude, I walked into a Chinese restaurant, like, I don't know, this was probably 10 months ago or so. This Oriental restaurant, man. There's this, like, Chinese mother, or I'm not sure if she was Chinese, but, you know, there was her and then her daughter, and they were sitting in this booth. I walk in, I was doing a DoorDash at the time, and I walk in, dude, and this little girl, like, ran to me and hugged me. And I was like I looked at the mom, like, making sure it was okay, because some parents are like, you know, don't want men around their kids, and I understand that with all the evil in the world. And you know, that I put that on everything, dude. It was weird. Like, it did not weird me out. It made me feel good, but it, like, at the same time, I was like, what was that about? Like, dang. So, I'm not saying kids are going to necessarily run up and hug you, but like kids have always, like, let's say I'll be standing in line at, like, a long line at, like, a grocery store, and there's a mom or a dad sitting there holding their 2-year-old son or 2-year-old daughter, or, you know, whatever, however old, but, like, below 5. And they'll, like, look at me and smile, and, you know, I'll joke around with them, like, make facial expressions or whatever. It's always kind of been like that with me. And I've always, like, been thankful for that. It was cool. It's cool, man. Like, obviously, if a kid likes you, you know you're not an absolute POS, you know? They have protective, like, they know, they have feelings that they get to protect them as well. Anyways, man, if you're going through persecution, especially if it's at a high level, you need to be grateful and realize what it is. If you claim to be a true follower of Christ and you are dealing with absolutely no persecution, the world just loves you and you have a ton of friends, you need to self-reflect and see really how strong that relationship is, man. I'm I'm not judging you, and I'm not saying you don't have a relationship. I'm just saying, do a self-reflection. Because we are in times that is in the Bible. But I leave it at that, man. And I just declare, I leave this message with you in the name of Jesus Christ and declare a hedge of protection by the fire of the Holy Spirit, so it can be carried to anyone that it can possibly help, and realize that the persecution that they may be dealing with isn't because they're a horrible person or they're going crazy, but because they're divine. And they are truly amazing people. People that if the world had more of, this world would be a better place. If there was more people like that and more wicked, man, we'd all be at peace. But you guys have a good night. I'll see you on the next one.